Okay, so remind me to never start a podcast, take a trip up to Canada, interview a random dude. I don't want to be made into a walrus. Welcome back to Wrestling with Horror. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Tusk, the movie written and directed by Kevin Smith. Let's talk about it. So Tusk was released in 2014, and as I said, it was written and directed by Kevin Smith. It basically came to be because of a joke that was made on a podcast. So from that comes this highly disturbing story about Wallace Brighton, who is a podcaster who they do comedy sketches. The other person in his podcast is Haley Joel Osment. The name of the podcast in the movie, don't know how YouTube is going to react to that, so I'm not going to say it. You can look it up for yourself if you really want to know. So basically what happens is Wallace decides to go to Canada to investigate, and he ends up meeting this man named Howard Howe. And during his time there, well, let's just say it gets very dark and disturbing and blubbery. So just be warned, there are probably going to be a lot of spoilers in this video. If you've not seen the movie Tusk, go see it if you're into that kind of thing. Just be aware that it is very, very disturbing and dark. So if you're somebody who doesn't like that kind of thing, maybe stay away. But if you feel like you can handle it, I say give it a good watch. It's a fairly decent movie. So I had heard about Tusk for years, never had the chance to watch it until last night. I decided to put it on, sit down and watch it, and I don't really know what I expected going into this. I knew it was going to be disturbing. I knew it was going to be intense, dark. Knew that Justin Long was in it. I've always enjoyed Justin Long in Jeepers Creepers and Drag Me to Hell. He's in the new movie coming out, Barbarian, that I talked about recently. So Justin Long is somebody that I really like as an actor. So him being the star of this movie as Wallace, also just to throw this out there, Walrus, yeah, that's intentional. So I knew that I was going to enjoy his character in this movie just because I like him. Haley Joel Osment's somebody that we've always enjoyed seeing. You know, we don't see as much of him now as we did when he was a kid, but growing up I saw him in things like Secondhand Lions and always enjoyed it. So seeing him in this movie was very nice too. And a character that was actually kind of funny to me was Johnny Depp's detective character. His French-Canadian accent it's something, but Johnny Depp is Johnny Depp, and he makes everything better. So I enjoyed his character. The villain of the movie, a man named Howard Howe, also known as Dr. Moussier in some scenes. He is a very sick, twisted, deranged individual. Basically, when he starts giving Wallace this interview, basically he gives him this tea and it poisons him. When Wallace wakes up, he is missing one of his legs. His leg is gone. He's told that he got bit by a spider. However, that is not really the case. We know that he doesn't. It takes him a little while to understand that this man is sick and twisted. So he starts hearing all these stories from this old man about how he was on this rock when he got shipwrecked, and there was the walrus that he called Mr. Tusk, and he loved this walrus, and oh boy, it gets strange. It becomes very clear that he's not letting Wallace go, and he starts doing things to him. He oh gosh, first thing he does is he sews his arm to his side and turns his hands and feet into basically flippers like you see on a walrus, and he just makes this whole walrus suit and just sews it together on him. It's honestly disgusting. It's hard to watch at times, watching Wallace kind of just sit around and flop around, and he gets fed fish, and then it all culminates after Wallace's girlfriend and Haley Joel Osment and Johnny Depp's character finally find him. They come into the house, they hear Wallace screaming, but inside the house, Howard Howe and Wallace are fighting because this man has put on a separate walrus suit and is basically challenging Wallace to a fight, saying, if you want to live, you have to kill me. Become a walrus completely and wholly. Wallace then uses his implanted tusks to stab the man in the foot to bring him down, and continuously stab him in the chest over and over and over. So Wallace does essentially become a walrus. The last thing we get to see in the movie is his girlfriend and Haley Joel Osment's character, Teddy, coming to this Canadian zoo enclosure type thing. And there's a little pool with a ball and a little tent hut kind of thing. They bring a fish and they throw it. Wallace comes out, he eats the fish. Allie, his girlfriend, basically says, I love you, Wallace, I always will. And we're left with just Wallace sitting there crying and bellowing, knowing that he has to live out the rest of his days as a walrus. So that is Tusk. It is a weird, strange, dark, twisted, interesting movie. And I don't think I ever need to see it again. So if you have seen Tusk, let me know down in the comments what you thought about the movie. Do you like how Kevin Smith wrote and directed this? Is it his style? Just let me know your thoughts on Tusk. Is that one of the darkest endings in cinema history and horror history? So make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. There's going to be a lot more coming your way soon. So stay tuned to Wrestling with Horror, and I will see you next time.